Good morning as folks are joining. Good to see everybody. Um, right now, strategies for our email is down, which is very exciting on this Monday morning. Our website was also down, but that looks to be back up. We switched our domain names, so everything was going smoothly, but we think the change happened last night. So if you're trying to email us, we haven't gotten it yet, so you can. Tom's gonna fax us. Tom, I'm sure you have a business card that has our fax number and it will go somewhere in Goulson stores. You can chat us up today during the 9:30 call. So we are so excited this morning to have Angela with us. Hello, it's good to see you. And I'll turn things right over to you. And is Reneca's here as well?
Renisa. She should
Renisa, oh my
be,
God, my apologies.
Yes.
all good.
Good morning.
Oh,
She
there you are. Good morning, Renisa. And so if you need to share your screen, you can share your screen. But our first question for all 9:30 call guests is for each of you to tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be in your current role. And we're excited to hear the update.
awesome. So I'm Angela Carolina. I have been with SEIU ESF for almost a year and a half now. And I came to this role. Um, I was a preschool teacher for a lot of years. I was in New Mexico, and then I ended up in Massachusetts, was a teacher there for a couple of years, and then the pandemic hit and I found a work from home job. And then I found ESF. Um, and before that, I worked with FCC providers in New Mexico for a little while, um, and did some programming in that state for a while. And then it all just sort of combobulated itself to this moment. Um, Renisa, you want to share a little bit about what brought you to this work?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Reneca, actually. Um, I
Thank you, Renesa. Renesa, thank you.
No worries. I am a family child care provider. I've been in child care probably 25 years maybe. But I've had my family child care provider for 13. And I'm just always interested in like the behind the scenes work that goes into childcare. So that's how I came to ELK, wanting to help to improve the things that we deal with on the front line on a day-to-day basis. Um, so yeah, that's how I came to ELK, just wanting to help improve the childcare system as a whole, if you will, any way I can. So
Thank you.
And I'll share my screen
Great.
and share a little bit about the work. So ELK stands for Educator-Led Communities of Care, but we call it ELK. And we run the program, well, before we jump in, let's do a little grounding. This is very typical ELK work. So if it feels good, maybe close your eyes or lower your gaze. And maybe just begin to notice a little bit of your breath or how it's landing with you today. Maybe it's hollow or shallow, slow, or it's really deep. Maybe it's even fast. Just begin to notice. And if it feels good, maybe be more intentional about your breath as you bring yourself to this moment. And we'll stay here for a few seconds, just noticing ourselves coming into this morning, into this space. And you don't have to do anything different. Just be here with us in this moment and stay here as long as you need. But in general, take a deep breath in and maybe begin to open your eyes or lift your gaze. Thanks. That's something we do all the time in Elk at the beginning and the ending of every single gathering. And I thought we'd share just a little bit of that with you all. But some of the objectives for this morning are to share about what the experience is. I shared it last year. I'll share a little bit about the outcomes. Renesa will share a little bit of her experience now that she's going into her second year of being a peer leader with us in Massachusetts. I'll share the details of the upcoming program and an invitation for other FCC providers in the state if they're on the call. But our ELK intention, so we're union allied peer working network that enables family child care providers to connect deeply with their peers and provide supports where needed with each other. ELK peer leaders and ourselves, we hold the space for them to restore their relationships with families and providers through holistic professional development opportunities. And this came really about when we got ESF did a survey of what providers really needed. And it was just they felt like they were in isolation a lot. And so we run the program in Rhode Island, in California, and in Massachusetts, and hopefully soon in Connecticut. But when I came into the role, I remember saying we can bring in new providers because that's what other states were doing after the dropout after the close of programs that we saw throughout the pandemic. But my heart was really in how do we support the providers we have and keeping them in the field, and really looking at their business policies and practices to support them um, in surviving and even thriving, hopefully, through building community with each other. The cohort spends 9 months together, sitting with some of the troubling times that they are seeing in their communities and moving through the challenges together. We serve providers who speak English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and the whole experience is virtual. These are some of the outcomes from last year. They're a screenshot from the report that I created. Sorry that the letters might be a little bit small, but throughout the 3 language groups that we supported, 100%, which is wild to see 100% because you don't ever just arrive to 100. But it was really exciting to see that everyone that participated really felt like they felt more valued as providers and seen as professionals versus being seen as babysitters throughout their time. They really grew in their leadership values, and the culture, even within themselves, that they built together was really exciting. We run a Saturday morning session that's trilingual in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And even though there were some like technical difficulties sometimes and a lot of clarifications and some like linguistic differences, everyone still felt like the community itself was deeply connected. And then overall, they really learned about self-care practices, mindfulness, breathing techniques, and stress management. Classroom management, I never really think about classroom management anymore. It is not the thing that's at the top of my head in the role that I sit in now, but to hear the providers really learned that skill throughout their time together, even though it wasn't something that like I had intentionally set out for the program, was really exciting to see. I think that speaks to the the holistic part of how do we support them from burning out? How do we support providers from burning out? And then their professional identity was also strengthened. And then I'll give it to Renesa to share a little bit of her experience, and I'll go on mute.
Good morning. So the elk experience, I was actually one of the leaders of the English speaking cohort. So I led the Zoom discussions with other peers. Unfortunately, the English speaking cohort wasn't very big. We had an extremely small group. So we didn't really, I want to say, we didn't get the most out of it. But we didn't get the most out of it because we didn't have our peers there to kind of help keep the ball rolling, if you will. Um, but it did give me and my partner time to actually converse with each other about the different things that we go through on a day-to-day basis. Different ways that we could. Well, she shared, some of her policies and procedures. I shared some of mine because, we all do things differently. But maybe there's a situation that I'm going through that I may need um, one of her policies and vice versa. So in that respect, it was really helpful to have a group of peers, even though, I was kind of leading the conversation. But when we all met as a group, it was good to be amongst your peers to hear that, maybe you're not going through this, you're not alone, with some of the burnout or with some of the difficulties that you have with families or even in general, with in accepting children with autism. That's a big thing now that us child care providers are dealing with and seeing. And sometimes, it's not easy for us to turn children away, but sometimes we have to. Um, but it was really really helpful in that grounding session that Angela came up with. When I tell you I looked forward to it because it was kind of like we met in the evening, so it was like you come from your classroom straight to the Zoom, so it gave us time to kind of reflect on how we were feeling moving from the day to going into like work again, if you will. So I really appreciate that. It definitely gave me a chance to kind of check in with myself, my body internally. So that was fun. And very helpful. Angela and her voice is so calming. Like I told her, every time we met, it was just calmness, like serenity. It was like a breath of fresh air coming to the Zoom. So I really, really appreciate it. And we also got to meet new peers, like new friendships, networks across the state of Massachusetts that we probably would never have gotten to experience. So that was good too. So I appreciate this cohort. And I'm super excited for this new year because we're doing something different. We are actually presenting versus Angela presenting or having some others come in and present to us. So that also gives us a chance to kind of step into a more professional, administrative, sorry, not professional, administrative side of childcare that we don't normally get to do. Try and test ourselves to see, to push ourselves, challenge ourselves to step out of the box of the classroom, and that feels good. So I appreciate this experience.
Thank you for sharing. Um, and I'll share a little bit more of what to look forward to this upcoming cohort. So all participants will receive up to 25 hours of professional development that count towards EEC hours and up to 13.5 hours of workshop experience. And the reason it says up to is because if you begin from the beginning, like if you start in September and go all the way through May, then those are the total amount of hours you could receive. But you're welcome to join at any time of the cohort. There is no beginning or end. There's no beginning or end in the context of when you can join and when you can drop out, and you're always welcome to come back. That's been a really exciting change from this year to last year because we did find that it was really hard for some participants to commit to 9 months, but they really wanted to be able to receive credit for the time that they were able to show up. So we took off some of the barriers that we received throughout the data collection that we did through the 9 months of last experience. All participants will dive deep into interconnected well-being and care during trilingual gatherings once a month. And overall, the expectation is to meet twice a month if they're available. And I think that's all that I wrote. Yeah. Um, there's a link here, and I'll share this with Amy and the team, where providers, if there's anyone in your network to apply, they can apply here. And thank you. That's it.
That's it. Thank you so much. We do have some action in the chat.
Yeah.
So first, Amy wondered where in New Mexico you were.
In Albuquerque, Santa Fe area. Now I am also in New Mexico, but I'm in Chaparral on the border with El Paso, Texas, and Mexico City and Juarez, Mexico.
And then Amy also added, setting aside time to talk just to another person is amazing. I'm glad you kept the discussion group going with that of two in English. And so I think this idea of kind of protecting that time, important. How many educators were in the cohort? How frequently are the Saturday sessions? And what's the time frame?
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to open the chat so I can see the first part of that question.
If you just maybe like how many folks were involved, and then how frequent, give us a little like logistical sense.
Perfect. We started off with about 45 participants, and it was 15 in each cohort. As you heard, English dropped off really low, but Spanish grew up to a group of 25. So the data represents about 35 FCC providers in general. We meet once a month on a Saturday morning, the first Saturday of every morning from 10:30 to 12, no, from 10 to 12:30. So it's a 2.5 hour session. And then when they meet on in the once a month in the evenings with their peer leaders, they meet for an hour and a half. And peer leaders meet for an extra hour during the month for their own support and professional development as they're going through their workshops in the month basis.
And Donna Danette added, I grow more and more convinced every day that this model is what is needed across all provider types. Amazing work. Ashley, I couldn't agree more, Donna. Edna, totally agree with you, Donna. As one of the Portuguese peer ELCC leader, that was the feedback from the group. Amy says to Edna, that's awesome that you are the Portuguese speaking leader. Um, Amy also wonders, this might be a question for another time, but is EEC hearing that educators, including in Head Start, need more support in children with different neurotypes through the birth through age 5 range? I appreciate Reneca. Oh my gosh, say it again. Reneca?
Reneca.
Reneca.
Yes.
Thank you. Mentioning that is an issue that's come up more, and we're hearing more and more. So how have you kind of connected? So it's kind of this idea of like, this is what we need. How do we connect it to EEC?
Yeah, we report to EEC regularly. I've been in conversations with their new, um, I think they have a new program or a new department within them on behavioral health.
Yes, they've been on the
Yes.
9:30 call. Yeah.
Okay, so I've had conversations with them of
Oh,
how we can
great.
interconnect with this. It's very light, but they are aware of what we're seeing with providers as we do our monthly reporting with them. And hopefully this is something that they can continue to grow on and expand on through the new department that they've made.
That's great. Do providers have to pay a fee to participate, or do they receive a stipend? And does a provider need to be part of the SEIU to participate?
So it's all for free. It's to receive any credit through our programming or receive any professional development, you do have to be receiving vouchers. And maybe I will get in some little bit of trouble for this. I don't actually know. But any provider that is an FCC provider is welcome to join. They just wouldn't get professional development hours if they don't receive vouchers with children. But in the sense of
I
building
see.
community, everyone is welcome to come. And even new providers have been invited this time around. The ones that are going through licensure programming through ESF, they've been invited to join just so that they can like step into the field or into the workforce with a community of support, even if they aren't receiving professional development hours.
Um, Also, if you want to put the link in chat to apply, because we'll save the chat, and that was a question somebody said I can't find the link. Linda Schumacher says thank you for offering this opportunity. Desiree shares this is wonderful PD and community building support opportunity for providers. Thank you for the link. And so I think we've talked a lot on the call about community and how do we create it and how do you carve out time for it. Um, and Renisha, thinking about what you said about the opportunity to like be a peer, but also facilitate some of the conversations. Can you say a little bit more about that? Kind of what have you seen? Because we also hear about from family child providers that it can be isolating. I need another adult to talk to. And we also know it's a full-time job. Your hours are often long. So can you talk about how do you carve out time to make sure you're doing things like this?
Well, it is a challenge. I will not lie. It is definitely a challenge, especially when you are also a mom and a wife. Uh,
Right.
it is challenging. However, this is our career. This is our passion. So we, make the time. Um, what else did you ask?
About about your experience now facilitating being kind of a leader in the work.
So I really, really enjoy this time, especially being a leader because I feel like I'm a natural born leader. Like I'm always looking to help people, especially in this field. I have such a great passion for it. Like I'm always looking for someone. If anyone says, "Oh, I was thinking about childcare," I'm like, "Do it, do it. Come join us. You should do it." And I'm like, anything you need, I'll help you. I'll give you contacts. I just love this field, and anyone who loves children, I just think this is just such a rewarding field to be in. So it gave, like I said, it gave me a sense of like growth or leveling up, if you will.
Sure.
Because now I'm not just seen as the classroom teacher or babysitter, like someone said before. It's like, okay, I'm really getting a chance to, kind of show my knowledge and expertise in the field, if you will. And in the classroom, we don't really get to, especially there's no like, I guess levels of growth when you're a family child care provider because it's just you. There's no
Right.
change.
It's not as clear. Right. There you are every day. Right. And so we often talked about like how some of the is the same, right? We all need skills and opportunities to develop, but some is very unique to family child care providers that you're doing so many parts of the business, that you're working with the families, that if you're taking subsidies or not taking subsidies, the job description is very big and broad for family child care providers.
I would like to add that as the facilitator or the holder of space, um, it was really a big part of my mission or my goal or my pedagogy to let them feel as like participants, as leaders and as participants, that they could come and rest, that there wasn't a sense of like, you're doing something wrong if you don't show up at this time. I think so many times many participants showed up 10, 15 minutes late, even 5 minutes late, and so sorry, so sorry. And honestly,
Right.
like you arrived at the time you needed to arrive. Like I hope that you were able to go to the bathroom. I hope you were able to go and care for your body. Please grab something yummy to drink. Like let's play some good music. And that's like the role of a facilitator. And so that was something that transcended through the program. And even the data, one of our leaders in the Portuguese cohort said, like, I learned how to take care of myself and like I learned how to set boundaries, not because of anything that you taught, but just simply by the way that you modeled for us how, like, it's okay if you're late. It's okay if this happens.
Right.
Because like we know that providers already worked probably 10 hours that day. So there's a lot of intentionality built into the program of being intentionally flexible to be able to meet the needs of what providers are really asking of us, so that we can give them what they're asking of us. Yeah.
We often say that we get the inspiration that we didn't know we needed on a Monday morning in the 9:30 call. And Donna loves what you just said. Amy also added, it'd be amazing someday to pay participants a stipend to even further the investments to them that they're seen and professional. I'm thinking about the value of the Advocacy Network for Early Childhood that SFC offers, and we just had our reception for reflection 2 weeks ago. But this idea and I think getting credit is also very important. So I think the way that we kind of work through some of those. And this shares a wonderful part of this program was that FCC assistants were also included in the group, which was so helpful in giving them a sense of belonging and the opportunity to share their insights and challenges. Their participation was truly appreciated. Michelle added, thank you so much. This connection is so important. Thank you for sharing this information. Do your facilitators get some training as leaders or facilitators?
That's a great question. We spend all summer together hanging out at a dance party that I have for us. I'm just kidding. I mean, we do that too. But this summer we spent about 12 hours together on a Monday evening, learning what the like workshop development, what's the difference from workshops and professional development. And then they also get technical assistance, like how do I clean up my Google Drive? How do I share a document with
Right,
peer leader? So they get like the pedagogy of how to facilitate and how to create presentations to support providers. And then also like, how do I do this on Zoom? And
right.
then one of two of the hours that were during that time together were just like come and rest for an hour, like sense into yourself. How do we integrate what we learned in both of these workshops? And how do we sit with it and then be able to move forward? And that comes from my pedagogy of embodied like learning and how do we like really use our bodies to hold and retain information, and that's also built in through into ELK. Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to see you, Angela, on a panel at the NAYC Public Policy Forum. Was that last year?
Yep.
Or yes, but
Yep.
this idea of rest and how important it is, and I love your frame of don't apologize for being 5 minutes late, that you just worked a 10-hour day and you're caring for people who have parents connected and other people in their life who have life happen to them. So thank you for that. Jennifer Lane also said I've observed Renisha's program. The field is lucky to be able to learn from her. Uh, is so your this is so Renisha, where is your program?
I'm now located in Brockton. I originally started in Boston, Dorchester, Mattapan.
Oh, great. And then Karen John Hope Blizzard, how can other family child care provider systems get involved?
Amazing. That link that I dropped in there, they're
Yeah.
welcome to apply. Our first ELK Saturday session is on September 6th. And on August 28th, we'll be having an information session for 30 minutes. Anyone's able to come in and drop by just to learn about the program. And then the link for the presentation I shared will be on there, and the link is for registration is also
So
on
great.
there.
So you'll send me the slides. The link is live in the slides that they'll be in the follow-up folder.
Yep.
Perfect. We'll make sure. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. It was wonderful, and for the grounding exercise, what a wonderful way to start the week. We so appreciate you joining us, and please come back anytime if you have announcements, if you want to share updates. We'd love to have you both.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
All right, take care. Have a great day.
Okay.